Welcome on this rather gloomy day in Antwerp airport. And today is our first day of our journey around the world using StraytWay and in a Cessna Citation CG4, which you see on the screen. So the idea is to use StraytWay and only StraytWay for navigation, including landing, which will ideally be always VFR. And well, in emergencies we can use it for IFR. And our trip lengths will be limited to about 500 nautical miles, just otherwise it's too long. Every trip it will be real time, real weather, and will take about an hour. Cessna is of course capable of 4 hours of flight, but we'll split it up in short hops unless the lay of the terrain requires others, like for instance there's a canal or a sea you have to cross. So let's program our first trip and open StraytWay. Here we are. Just checking that you have a visual. Yeah, you have a visual on StraytWay. So we are here at Antwerp airport, and if we want to do a trip of 500 nautical miles, well, that's easy in StraytWay. You see the buttons at the left, the bottom left. Sorry, the buttons at the bottom left. That's the current position and the target position. Now we're set to current position. That means that the crosshairs give the distance given is from the crosshairs to the current position. So that moves. If we move out and we say we're going to do 500 nautical miles, just we're doing the world. So 500. Look, this is 400. This is about perfect. So this range, but we're going to the southeast. We're flying to the east, and our first airport should be around here, and I think that's gonna be Venice airport. So our first leg will be from Antwerp, Belgium, to Venice, Italy. We're gonna check the weather pretty soon, but we can already say we're going to use the big runway as target runway. And how do we enter that into StraytWay? Just put your crosshairs on the one of the thresholds, and then add a marker, and then on the other end of the threshold also add a marker, like so. And perhaps going to check on the weather for Venice. That's Venice Tessara. I'm using this LIPZ code. This app, which is called EBAW Weather PZ. And that's real weather, so that's not a Microsoft Flight Simulator, but that should coincide because Microsoft Flight Simulator also uses real weather. And the winds are 170 at only 3 knots, so we'll land from, what are the runways? Well, 22 left, so that's the one we've entered. Go back to our StraytWay. So we're gonna land from the north to the south for the time being. That means we're gonna enter the runway now, and you start with the inactive threshold. So select this threshold and add to the route. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna reset our marker. So select the marker and then add to the route with this button here, like so. Now the first waypoint has been added, and the second waypoint, the last waypoint, should be our active threshold. That's how it is. That's how you should use StraytWay for aeronautical purposes, like so. And now the runway has been entered into StraytWay. That's all it needs to know. One final data point is the elevation, but since we are at sea level, we don't even have to check, so I'll put it in 0. So how do we do that? Make sure you're in the navigation page we're in now. Make sure you go to the last waypoint, and then this button has to be activated, the CTI button. So it has to show magenta, and then you have to click on the course, 41 degrees, click on it, and now the little plane has appeared, and the course has been reversed also. That's for, now it's prepared for landing. Click on the airplane, and then you see the elevation. We put it at 0 meters. And our parent altitude, it's pretty standard, 1500 feet. Click on the orange large button, and now we're set for Venice. That's all we need to do. It's 464 nautical miles from Antwerp, and there we are. We can already start preparing the aircraft for taking off. StraytWay is programmed, so now we're gonna do it just for the realism, starting up the aircraft. We're not gonna use ATC, and we're not gonna be bound by any airspace restrictions. So that's a bit big caveat, but it's just to show that you can use StraytWay to fly around the world. We have to activate the our battery, emergency lights, and then avionics full on, like so. Pretty basic nav lights on, our beacon on, and yeah, logo, we don't bother with the logo. Check our parking brakes, throttle to 0, and start left engine. Apparently you can do that right away. We're gonna check the weather in Antwerp. So Antwerp is so we have 240. So we need to take off to the west, because it's a 15 degrees wind. Second engine. A good left engine. It's not a flying lesson, but for realism, I do the whole starter procedure. The guy seems to approve. And our barometer setting is 1017. Gonna put that in there. You can also set that by using StraytWay, if you because StraytWay gives the altitude right here. We're at 31 feet, so indeed we should be at 31 feet approximately. That's about right. Setting the autopilot, we'll be cruising at 41,000 feet to Venice, and our flight level change speed, climb speed, will be 230, which is pretty standard. already gonna activate the arm the heading. We'll set that when we take off. The rest is pre-takeoff. We got 2 good engines, so we're ready to taxi. We're gonna do that using StraytWay. Just close. And you can see our taxiway. We have to take off to the west because of the wind. So this will be our threshold, our active threshold, and we're taking off. So we have to taxi this way, which is taxiway Bravo 1. So that's probably what the ATC would give us. So let's go for Bravo 1. Let me start with my panels. And release taxiing brakes. Yeah, perhaps first put our taxi lights. And I'll put our logo lights, taxi lights. There you go. Okay. Watch StraytWay. Now the movement arrow should appear. There you are. So that gives our direction of movement, and this is our line. We need to follow. Watch us taxi. StraytWay is, for the time being, completely free, including the maps. So whatever you see, the maps, it's loaded automatically on your phone. So even when Wi-Fi cuts out, it will be still in your cache memory of the phone. We have some fog today. Yep, crossing the runway. Sorry, the taxiways. Typical Belgian winter day, I suppose. It's 22nd of February. And we're starting on our first leg of our world tour using StraytWay. Oh, the sun's coming through. Okay. This is our soft, so I'll configure the plane for takeoff. The trim setting. It's a bit, okay, trim to the middle. Our pitot heating. It says so here. Cold, it's winter, so we're definitely gonna need it. And then finally, our landing lights on and our strobe lights on. Now we're configure, oh, flaps 15, very important. There you go. I don't use a checklist, which is an abominable thing to do in aviation. But again, this is not a flight instruction video, not even a flight simulator instruction video. There we go, brakes release. Gonna switch back to our so you see the yellow arrow that points to Venice. That's all we're gonna need. There's no other waypoints. Runway 29er. Ready to take off in the mist. Okay, I'm gonna set the heading bug to a runway heading. Flight level change. We've got our everything set, just ready for takeoff. Parking brakes release. Full power. We'll be rotating at 110 typically in the Cessna. Oop, veering off. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. Power reduced to climb. And flaps up. I'm already gonna activate the autopilot. There we are. So we can watch StraytWay. Just to show us climbing out here from Antwerp. And we're already above the clouds. We won't be seeing much of Antwerp. Wow. So we need to follow the yellow arrow. So we're gonna turn the heading bug. Just visually, look at the yellow arrow. That's about an angle of 160 to the left, so change it as well. There you go. So it's a very rough estimate, but we'll be turning in the right way, right direction. It's a fortress, an old World War I fortress, one of the many fortresses that protect Antwerp. And actually, if you want to see this, it should be on there. Here it is, fort number 8. It's already passed behind us. There we are, over Antwerp. This is Antwerp, and we're turning approximately. What you know, we're almost dead on target for Venice. We're going to waypoint number 2. If you remember well, that's our threshold, our active threshold. So. That probably won't change. Winds won't change in an hour time. And we are flying. Well, that's a very good guess. Exactly, we are flying exactly. So the yellow figure is the bearing of Venice Airport, and the teal colored figure, the track, is our track. So there's no deviation. Going straight to our target. Wow. Belly camera. And well, this was not VFR. I don't think so. If you go to you see, it was IFR. Antwerp was IFR. So normally you should, of course, file an IFR plan, but in our trip around the world, we're gonna try and use StraytWay because we're not in a real airplane as much as possible. Actually, as the only navigation tool. That's a bit our preset. Even if conditions are IFR, unless you have a really, it's fucked up to the ground, bugged up, then we'll do a go around and go for an alternate airport, which we will program now once we're at cruise altitude. Wow, this is our first leg. Our trip around the world. Gonna check if you still have yeah, you have StraytWay, and we are recording. it's completely clouded up. Yeah. Now we're climbing out to 41,000 feet. Perhaps change the to standard atmosphere 1013, and then also, yeah, well, switch off our landing lights because we are above 10,000 feet. We'll try and follow a bit the rules because I know that some of the people watching will be sensitive to it. You're welcome. Also, all flight simmers welcome, but this is not really for flight sim because you cannot use StraytWay with flight sim like Microsoft Flight Simulator unless you write a little bridge code in Python, which is not available. So StraytWay is really meant for the real world. You can use it for hiking, cycling, sailing, and now also for aviation, typically for VFR as a backup system for VFR. But in an emergency, if your instruments quit on you and you have StraytWay on your phone, it's much better than having nothing at all. Much, much better. Where are we in our navigation? So, as a reminder, this app, it's nothing to do with StraytWay. It's called EBAW weather. It's a free, I think it's German, and I think you can get the real weather for any airport in the world, even the METAR, the forecasts. So we'll be using that. So giving you some free pub for the app. But this is StraytWay, and you see there's now a deviation of 1 degree with our bearing to Venice. And what we're going to do, we're going to wait till we are at cruising altitude, and then we're going to punch in our alternate airport. What you see, the magenta arrow, is the course, is the center line of the airport, the direction, and the CDI gives the distance from that center line. So if you look at the magenta number of 433 nautical miles, that means we are 433 nautical miles cross-track error from the center line of the airport. It's about the same distance as the threshold, of course. Well, not of course, could have been much less. That's because we're going at right angles to the center line of the airport. 320 nautical miles, what does that mean? That means our top of descent. But it's continuously calculated as soon as we are above the pattern altitude, which is 1500 feet. Remember, we put that in here. 1500 feet, and since we are at sea level, 0 plus 1500 feet is 1500 feet. So once we are above our pattern altitude, StraytWay automatically gives the top of descent, even if you're still climbing. It doesn't matter. So it's independent of whether you're flying level or climbing or descending. Well, descending normally it should give your. You'll see that when we. How it works when we approach the airport. And on the left is just the GPS altitude, which should correspond approximately with what you see on the primary flight display of the Cessna Citation. And yeah, it's approximately the same. It's probably because we're using standard altitude barometer settings already that you got this difference. Good. We're on our way. As said, we're gonna keep these flights very short, so you can watch them in real time and string them together. They'll be in a separate playlist in the channel, so you can play them as a sequence if you want. But then there are the legs are kind of bite size. Or nautical miles. Where are we already in the world? So again, so whatever. Now, okay, we are in the airplane, and we still have internet because I'm not really in the airplane. But if you had looked at this route, the maps would have been automatically been stored in your phone. You don't have to take any action to download the maps. It's what you see is stored on your screen. So that means if you go on a holiday, you take an airline flight, you can use StraytWay in the cabin and follow. Unlike other maps that require online connection, you'll be able to see exactly where you are. Also when you're sailing, if you're on an ocean and you haven't emptied your cache memory of your phone, you should be able to navigate. But I take 2 or 3 phones. So, this is our... we'll be crossing the Alps, so that will be interesting. Hey, waiter. So we'll be crossing here the Bodensee, which is where the... actually where Count Zeppelin started making his airships in Friedrichshafen, here, home of the Zeppelins. We'll be flying over Friedrichshafen. We'll still, you see, so there's now a small deviation between our bearing to the airport and our track. So what we're gonna do is, it's 2 degrees, just here, so we are, the autopilot is following a heading of 136, just increase, so you don't have to bother about magnetic, because this is, the Cessna is of course magnetic, and StraytWay is true north. Cessna is magnetic north, so there will always be a difference. So we're now tracking 132 true north and magnetic 136. So the difference is of course deviation and variation. But you don't have to bother about the difference. Just see the difference between 132 and 134. So that means you have to add $2, 2 degrees to the right on the autopilot. So 136 needs to go to 138. So 138. And now the 132 should go to 134. Turning slightly to the right. We're almost at our cruising altitude. There you go. Yeah, perhaps should give it some time. Go to 134. No. So we needed to give 1 degree extra. So 1 degree, 139. Oh, we were at 134, so it wasn't even necessary. 138 was good. So at 134, no deviation. Perfect. Altitude can reduce our power. There's no auto thrust in the citation. And then we can start thinking about entering our alternate airport, which will be the other side of the Italian boat, so to speak. Okay, we are at cruising altitude. Enjoy the view, clouds as far as you can see. I think it's gonna stay that way throughout the flight because there is heavy snow dumping in the Alps right now. So we're stabilized at 41,000 feet. GPS altitude says 3,990, and as said, that's probably because of the difference, because of now we're using standard barometer settings. That probably explains the difference. In 235 nautical miles, we need to start descending, or we should be considering descending. You'll see why I say considering. It will still be up to us to continue, but StraytWay will give other information at that point. I'll leave it to us to start descending, or perhaps if you want a steeper descent rates, then we can continue. That's up to us. Typically in a mountainous area, terminal area, you would want a steeper descent rate, but that's not the case here. We'll be over the Alps and over the EBAW plains of Venice, which is a flat terrain. Okay, our alternate. So we're gonna close our navigation screen, and so this line that you see is our target, and our arrow of movements should, if there's no deviation, it should coincide. There's a slight deviation to the left. So go back, and indeed it's 2 degrees, 133 and 135, and you can see that visually here because the direction of movement does not coincide with our target line. Target line goes to Venice. Going to Venice. So instead of scrolling all the way to your target line, just use this button. You go to your target, and then you go to current position. You can toggle with that current position target. Okay, so to our target, Venice. And we'll go the other side of the peninsula, which is not too far. Or perhaps this is far enough to have a change in with Bologna. And Bologna has only one runway, so we're gonna put in the markers already, in case we need to do a go-around. Or an alternate, and then we'll do the altitude if needed. But then we have already the markers, and it will be visible. So if you zoom out, look, you can see them. No matter how far you zoom out, you can see the markers. But for the time being, we'll be landing to the south, and our what's the status of Venice? LIPZ. That's the ACOA code, LIPZ. It's VFR, great. So that shouldn't be a problem. Easy peasy. Yeah, clouds around us. I'm deliberately using a telelens to get the plane that's a more realistic view. It's not the fisheye, because in reality you're never so close to a plane. It's like you're following in a real trail plane zoomed in on the target plane. So it's much more realistic. Oh yeah, if you want to get an idea of our speed, here we go. So now we're staying stationary in the air, and I'm gonna turn around the aircraft now and put ourselves back in the path, and then you'll get a pretty good idea of how fast we're flying. There you are. Now we're stationary, and we're passing by. Perfect. Gonna do that one more time. and then lock us in again. And lock. There we are. So now our drone follows the plane again. Perfect. Anything, our speed is much too low. That's with all the explaining. That's why our we were tilted so much. Our pitch was suspiciously up, and that's what you get when you're explaining too much. That's better, and also will get us there faster. So if you go to StraytWay, we'll be there in 1 hour and 10 minutes. Let's see if I can put our speed up again. We never reached flight level 410, I see. So I'm gonna... yeah. Now it's very, very gradually climbing. Doesn't matter for our flights. We are 133, 135, so two bucks to the left, to the right, sorry. So 138 should be 140. 40. Well, let's see what that does. Yep, it's correcting. We're very, very slowly nudging up to our... I would say change to vertical speed. That'll get us faster there. There you go. There we are. Going to 41,000. By now we would have had a call from ATC. Hey guys, you're supposed to fly at 41,000. But we are now. Doesn't matter for any of our calculations. It's 185 nautical miles, still top of descent. We're flying in real time around the world in a Cessna citation, but we're taking our time. We're visiting Venice now. And the idea is to go all the way to Australia, perhaps to Sydney, island hopping, and then go across the Pacific perhaps. We can do that with a citation, we'll have to see. If you want to keep our flight time to 500 nautical miles, that's going to be a bit hard. Might be that we have to do a long stretch, which will be boring, but we'll do it. Okay, reducing power, and we don't overspeed, and now we're where we should be at 41,000 feet, and nudging against our maximum speed, airspeed. And our estimated arrival time at the threshold of the airport has been reduced to estimated time on route, to 42 minutes. You can change it to estimated time of arrival. Now it's ETE, you can change to ETA, just go to the menu and then you see ETE in display. Just click on it once. Now it's ETA, and it should say ETA. 13 hours and 47 minutes. And that is ETA in local time. You can also change it to UTC. Now it's ETA UTC. It's perhaps a wiser choice when you're traveling around the world. And so that was a 1 hour difference with the local time in UTC. So 12 hours and 46 minutes. A 1:45 UTC will be arriving at our destination. Gonna change it back to ETE. There you go. Now it's ETE. 40 minutes of flight time. Now, if you want to do some sightseeing, and like for instance the Bodensee, where the Zeppelin was born, just go to the Bodensee. Zoom out. Where was it? Oh, here it is. So we'll be passing over it. It's perfect. And that's Friedrichshafen. And put your target there. So you see the flag, the right on the top right corner, little flag, and that sets the target. Your route is still there, so your airport is still there. It's when it's pointing to 0, that means it's pointing to the target. When it's pointing to 1, this is our first waypoint, and this is our second. But just put it to 0, and now it points to wherever the target in the world is. And it also, you see the route information has disappeared. You now see it's 16 minutes to Friedrichshafen, and it's slightly off to the right, of course. And that will become more prominent, that difference, as we the difference between 137 and 138, between the teal and the yellow, as we approach Friedrichshafen, of course, because we'll be passing to the left of it, to the north. And that's 15 minutes. Well, let's keep it like that. Otherwise it will be a bit boring, but there is not much to see. But we can try and have a glimpse of the Bodensee, which has different names in different languages. I think in German it's Bodensee, so the Boden Lake, and in Italian it's Lake Constanza, or in Swiss, maybe Swiss is not a language, but I think it's Lake Constanza. So it's either Lake Bodensee. So go to our target. Where is the Bodensee? Just toggle. And now we're back to Friedrichshafen. See, you can use the toggle buttons. Don't scroll. Don't do this. You can follow the target line all the way. No, just go straight away to your target. There you are. And you can see the name, the Bodensee. And here is the border with Switzerland and Germany. So on the other side is Baden-Württemberg, which is one of the German states, Länder. And this is just Switzerland. And the border runs through the middle. And there's also an Austrian part, which is here. It's amazing. So this is a 3. If you zoom out, you can see how the 3 countries split up the Bodensee. And this is Bergrenz, and here are the skiing areas. If you change the map to this is the primary, yeah. In the meantime, you can watch the landscape go by. This is the primary map, which is this map here, and that's more for yeah, well, everything human. I mean, shops, statues, forests, parks, national parks, borders, highways. Well, let's go to Bergrens. You can see right away what I mean. So everything is on there. Every school, every... this is the cemetery. The house numbers are on there. So any footpath. This is an archaeological site. But also the shops. I mean, this is a supermarket, Dennis biomarkets, and the tankings, gas stations. So it's amazing the level of detail that is on these maps, which is OpenStreetMap. So this is the map source. Donate to OpenStreetMaps. If you want to, you can donate to them, because that's why this app is, for the time being, free. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. So I'm using OpenStreetMap, which is a kind of Wikipedia of maps. And that's why the detail is so astounding and so up to date also. If tomorrow there's a new road finished, it'll be on OpenStreetMap the next day. Where are we? Here. Over Bexdorp. We're crossing the Rhine Valley. Strasbourg is here. So that's where all the nice wine is, the Mosel wine. But there's nothing to see. It's overcast. Now if you move away from our current position, the direction of arrow will be on there. And the little cone you see, that's the compass, compass of your... Oh, got an overspeed warning. Reduce it. So I'm gonna show you if I... So I have the overspeed. So if I change my phone, you can see the compass. So it's the compass of your phone. But once we are moving, like now, StraytWay automatically uses your GPS for calculating direction and bearings, which is far more accurate and true north. So when you're stationary, it switches automatically to your compass, your phone compass. Over Karlsruhe. This is the Rhine River. Just across the Rhine, passes Strasbourg. Very important city, administrative European city. And we're almost, how far are we away? You can also see it on this map, the bottom right corner, 82 nautical miles from Friedrichshafen, and on the left our estimated time of en route to, it's 10 minutes, so within 10 minutes we'll be over Friedrichshafen. And then we recalibrate our route to Venice. And you'll see if we switch to 1, then go to the inactive threshold, and 2 is the active threshold, and 0 is Friedrichshafen, wherever our target is. So you can preset your target wherever in the world, and very easily change back to the route. There's only one route. You can only program one route, so link up markers in one route. It is safe, so if you close your phone, but there's only one, and it keeps things simple. So for clarity's sake, a route is a connection between markers. That's a route, and we're using now a very simple route, which is the threshold, active threshold, and inactive threshold. And that's why is that? That's because again, you have your runway direction entered into StraytWay. If you're using StraytWay for cycling and even sailing, you're not going to be using that. just gonna use normal routes. So, 9 minutes. How we're doing in our fuel and stuff. So once we get to Venice airport, the idea is to come to a full stop, taxi to a parking place, and then the next day, the next video will start again from that same parking place. That's a bit the idea, and that's how we'll get the illusion of doing a real trip around the world, hopefully using StraytWay. That's the idea. It might be that in mountainous areas we're gonna use the you got a map elevation, an elevation map in the CG4. Might be that we use this if visibility is bad. We're gonna use that to make sure we don't hit any mountains. So that's the only part of the CG4 we're gonna use. But just gonna switch here. You can switch in this screen on the bottom, minus, plus, so 0. Now it's 0, so it's your target, and now it's 1, and now it's 2. And it gives it, you have to reactivate the VFR module, so click on the airplane, because the top of the descent is lost, because we've used the target, so you have to reactivate that. That's, and click on the orange, and now you'll have your top of descent to, it's 78 nautical miles. Has the weather improved? Not really. And we're very nicely contrails, which of course are not chemtrails, they're just condensation trails. If you wonder the story of how they are formed, they're very here where we're flying now. The air is filled with very, very fine ice crystals, and when the plane, you don't see them, they're so fine, looks like it's blue sky. But when the plane passes through it, the cowlings, so the engines, are very hot, so that makes those ice crystals evaporate into water or into water vapor. And then when the plane passes, it's so cold that immediately they recondense back to ice, turn into ice, but this time much larger crystals, and that's why you see them. So they were there, but they've changed from very small invisible crystals because of the engines. So it's not the vapor that comes out of the engines or something. It's not the exhaust, the way you see. It's just water, bigger crystals. That's why you see a trail. So the whole story of chemtrails, it's ridiculous. And if you, it's one of those conspiracies that will destroy the world in the end, because everybody seems to have voting rights. People who believe in these conspiracies, and they vote. Which is okay. Let's not get political. (49, 58 nautical miles to our top of descent. Oh yeah, our Friedrichshaven. I don't think we'll be Let's see how the view is. Oh, that's the start of the Bodensee. Where are we? Yeah, it's the start of the Bodensee. So perhaps we'll be lucky to see. You see this this arm here? That's this here, and that's the head of the Bodensee. There are two heads, a small one and a big one. And this is the peninsula of. It's a national park. The Habinsel Metznau. That's this here. And that town is called Radolf del am Bodensee. Pronouncing those names, I can still read them, but when we go to Indonesia and stuff, the maps will be in the local language, so I won't be able to read them anymore. And that's wonderful about OpenStreetMap. It respects every country's own language. And okay, there are workarounds, but I don't mind. I mean, that's how it should be. But you still see the houses, and you still see the icons for shops and the icons for gas stations, and so you'll survive. But that's the only part we're gonna see of the Boden. Oh no, there it is. So freeze our. So now we're pointing again to our target. It's still 18 nautical miles. And in 2 minutes we'll be over Friedrichshafen. Gonna switch back to our belly camera. Sorry. And it gives so this is straight ahead. So Friedrichshafen is still straight ahead, though we're already here over the Bodensee. It's that big. This here is that's this here, this peninsula. That's what you see here. The Staats, the city of Staats. That's still Germany. But this bank is already Swiss. That's Switzerland. And the Alps are hidden in clouds because that's where the Alps should be. That's too bad. We won't be seeing them. But I said we're flying real weather, so yeah, it's too bad. Too bad. Wrong day. Friedrichshafen, where are you? So it must be there somewhere. I think that's Friedrichshafen. That's the airport. That's the airport of Friedrichshafen. And watch the yellow arrow. It will suddenly start moving. Looking straight down now. So 2 nautical miles. And there we are. It starts moving. And hear that chime. That means we're reaching our target. Look at that. And suddenly we'll be passing it. There you go. Wow. And now it's behind us. So that's indeed Friedrichshafen, home of the Zeppelin. And the practice also tested waterplanes, hydroplanes on Bodensee. One of the biggest hydroplanes of the pre-war era were tested here by Dornier also, the German manufacturer. Ok, Okay, let's go back to our threshold for Venice. So 1, 2. Now we're pointing back to the threshold, and we're a bit off, so we should turn 4 to the left, which we're gonna do. So we're at 140 and turn 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're turning. Just checking if you guys have me on. Yeah, you can still see me, because that would be a real shame. 137, almost 136, and our yeah, because we used the target again. Again, our VFR has disappeared. Click on the plane, the orange, and now it's back. Oh, 11 nautical miles for top of descent. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in the 1500 already as a selected altitude. There you go, 1500. So we'll be descending, that will be off floor. Actually our VFR pattern altitude, so. And as soon as we reach our top of descent, which is in 6 nautical miles, we'll use the vertical speed to get us down, and StraytWay will give us an indication for the vertical speed. So we are really, the pilot is really functioning as an interface between the autopilot and StraytWay. You have to see it that way. There's no, because you cannot link StraytWay to the autopilot, of course. But as a reminder, we are not using the autopilot for navigation, just to keep a heading, altitude, and that, yeah, that's it. To keep a heading and altitude. All the rest is done by StraytWay. One notch to the left. 136. There you go. So StraytWay gives, as soon as we have a descent angle of 2.5 or larger, it starts giving a descent rate. But we are gonna, because we have to cross the Alps, still have to cross the Alps, we're gonna go for 3% to keep it safe. We're not gonna hit any alpine mountains, but so we'll continue till it's 3%, and then we'll start descending. Oh, there are the Alps. Oops! Wow, the weather has cleared. So that's the Bodensee, and you can see how close it is to the Alps. Where are we? Oh, let's change to the other map. It's more dramatic because you can see the mountains. There you are. And where is Mont Blanc? Europe's highest mountain. Perhaps you can see it. It's at the confluence of I think it's Lake Geneva. Where's Lake Geneva? Where? Here it is. Lake Geneva and Mont Blanc must be here. Somewhere. There it is, Mont Blanc. Okay, put our target there. And so this points to Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc must be somewhere behind us. Somewhere over there. At 156 nautical miles. Yeah, okay. Vector and reactivate because that's not the 2.8. And can try and see Mont Blanc here, but let's not use the target. Must be there, but it's obscured by clouds. Hopefully we get some other shots. And that's already the end of the Alps, you see. And that's the Adriatic Sea. 2.9. Time to head over to our cockpit. And perhaps use our lights. Yeah. Okay, 3. Vertical speeds. Gonna reduce power. And I'm gonna just here. StraytWay says 2,400. We're gonna put in 2,400 as descent rate. It's that simple. Just track the rate that StraytWay suggests, 2,400. Now it's 2,000 because we reduced speed. So you can take the lower number, so round it down. 2,300. Give it some time to stabilize. But we've initiated our descent. 3,400. There you go. And that's what we're gonna do. Keep tracking that with the autopilot, so keep tracking StraytWay with the autopilot. But once it's stabilized, you won't need to do much more tracking. And wow, we're descending. We're slightly descending at 3 degrees towards Venice. $2,300 and we're at 2,400. We're good. We're good. Just watching that we don't overspeed, so I reduce power a bit. As I said again, if you've got auto throttle in your plane, you don't have to need to track that. There's no need to track that. But you can use StraytWay in any plane. I mean, even it's an ultralight or a 747, doesn't really matter. It should work anywhere as long as the cockpit allows you to, or the hull of the plane allows you to receive a GPS on your phone, of course. And as long as the Russians are not spoofing the GPS signal. Perfect. Any 2,400, so we gonna go to 2,500. No, we're fine. Let's just have a look at where we are. Any dramatic names? Famous names? Murano? No. We'll be flying over the Italian part of the Alps, and then here we'll be over the plains. So no controlled flight into terrain possible. Well, it's always possible, but there's no risk of that. That's the White Kugel, 3,700 meters. Almost 4,000 meters, that's not too bad in the Alps, for the Alps. That's the border with Austria. We're already over Italy. We've already entered Italy. Yeah. And this is where the Winter 2026 Winter Olympics took place, Milan. Which is, of course, where's Milan? Oh, here it is. That's to our right, Milan. It's in the clouds. How are we doing on our descent? 2,400, and StraytWay says 2,200, so okay, gonna change it to 2,300. Just gradually, don't need to do much. We're still good for 3 degrees glide slope. Should get us over the edge of the Alps, which you can see here. And if it doesn't, well, the citation will give us a warning on this, on the multifunctional display here, a terrain warning, and you'll see the tops of the mountains approach. Hopefully not. We're still perfectly, almost perfect on track for Venice. It doesn't really matter if it's a degree off, but for argument's sake, we'll... So 1 to the left, so change 134, and now we should go to 136. So what we're gonna do when we approach the airport, as soon as our track error is at about 5 nautical miles, we'll start flying to the left, parallel to the runway, and get us to actually a right base, like right base approach, not left base, right base. It's VFR, so, and then we'll taxi to our place of our choosing. We'll be there in 11 minutes. Thank you for your patience. Wow, this is getting dramatic. What is that? That valley? It's the Val de Lacie. It's Bolzano fellow. So Bolzano must be here. Yep. So that's Bolzano. There's a runway here. And this highway is the you see, it doesn't say because we're in the nature map, so to speak, but if you switch to the other map, then it will say the name of the highway. It's the Autostrada del A22. That's where is it? Okay. We're past it. What is our 2000 descent rate? Aha. So, gonna reduce our descent, and I'm already starting watch out our 10,250 knots. We're gonna just make it past the Alps. So a reminder, this is VFR, so you check if you're not gonna hit any mountains. We're not doing any IFR, where of course you don't have to do that. That's VFR, that's why we are also flying during the daytime, as much as possible. This is only Flight Simulator 2020, and well, why? I think it's if from this altitude everything looks enough realistic for me, and there's a lot of stuff like career, and I don't really need. I mean, I'm using this to demonstrate StraytWay and primary. It's a great flight sim, of course. But I don't need all the add-ons that have recently joined the franchise. And that's a personal thing. I can perfectly imagine that you can be lost in all these careers, and there you go. Wow, this is dramatic. Pieve Tesino. This is Pieve Tesino. That valley. That's really dramatic. And it goes all the way around. And we're gonna make it. The end of the Alps. Looks like it. There is the Po plain. The whole of north of south of the Alps of Italy is a big, huge plain. Cisalpina, the Romans called it, this side of the Alps. And the other side, Germany and France, was Transalpina. So we're entering Cisalpina. We're entering civilization. Well, at least 2,000 years ago. There we are. Pointing straight to our target line, and let's check on 1800 feet. Well, we're descending a bit too fast, so we'll make it 1900. You see, you just gradually do that. It doesn't really, it gets you there. Our speed, because we're gonna hit 10,000, so I'm gonna start reducing our speed. And we were too late. Almost. Yeah, and also check what the barometer is. Important. Meantime, do an update. 1026. So 1026. Whoops. When our speed it up. Yeah, that's when you don't have an auto throttle. set to and now we're perfectly set for. ATC would be yelling at us for busting the 250 speed limit, but so we'll be dropping now to 1,500. And it's still 28 nautical miles to the threshold and also to the central line. So if that central line drops to let's say 6, then we'll start turning to the left to fly parallel to the runway. This is better, 240. Nice day to land. There we are, leaving the Alps behind us. We're over Treviso. We're coming close to Treviso is at the seaside. So this town is Montebelluna. This place, that's Montebelluna. And we'll level off at we already reached our descent rate to the airport will be shallower than 2.5, so it's again giving a top of descent, but we'll descend anyway or make it a bit shallower like this. So I'm reducing our descent rate, and then eventually we'll be. So if I put it to hundreds, but keep us descending, we're basically flying level then. But the plane still thinks it needs to descend, and then that top of descent will decrease again to start decreasing, and then it gives us a slope. Well, we just can put in 1,000, and it will gradually get us start descending, and we'll stop at 1,500 anyway because we put it in as our pattern altitude. Start watching the distance at let's say 6 nautical miles, 7 nautical miles. We'll start turning to the left, and we'll start entering our pattern around the downwind leg, actually, the left downwind leg to our approach. And also start configuring the plane for landing. We'll be flying as much as possible, well, perhaps not now, because the view will be, visibility is high. There's another airport. That's can't resist. Here it is. That's Aeroporto de what is it? The Sant'Angelo.
Altitude.
There we are. Gonna fly already at right angles with our runway center line. And then we'll do a turn. So, giving nudges to the left till we're approximately right angles, or a bit more, that doesn't matter. Watch our speed because we're leveling off. Right, we're at about, it's blue, we're just above apparent altitude. And now we get a descent rate. So this is our slope, and red means it's too shallow. So it will be green from 2.5 to 3.5. It will be, but of course we're not yet approaching. But it's it continuously calculates that descent rate, so it's always available. 7 nautical miles. Okay. Start flying parallel with the magenta line, the center line of the runway, and flaps out. First, there we are, flying in autopilot. And giving increasingly a nudge one at a time. MA means moving away. We're moving them away from the threshold, so it doesn't give a descent rate. It makes no sense. And that's because the yellow arrow is more than 90 degrees to the right behind us. But as soon as we turn, we start approaching again. Look at the yellow, the yellow number, it's increasing 7 9, so we're flying away from the threshold. And that's why we don't have a descent rate. Try and fly as parallel as possible to the... Now, 4.7 is enough to give you enough time to descend, but we'll make it a bit more. And okay, we'll start turning to the right, so turning onto right base. We'll do that now. On autopilot, and we're gonna turn till the yellow arrow makes a 90-degree angle. And we're kind of circling our active threshold, and it's not a box that we're flying, but we're kind of circling our... that's too much. Gonna put our gear out. There we are. And when the yellow arrow coincides approximately with the magenta, it's a full right onto final. So you don't even have to watch where the look for visually where the runway is. You can just do that. Few notches to the right, keep that yellow angle at 90 degrees. That means we're circling the threshold. If you keep it at 90 degrees, approximately, until it coincides with the. So when the needle starts moving, that will happen at 2 nautical miles, which is now. You will need to at least fly parallel or right angles. There you go. And now it will start moving. There you go. So turn aggressively to the runway, to the heading of the... and then we should have the runway in sight. And where is the runway? Still at barren altitude. To my shame, I haven't localized the runway yet. Ah, there it is. There it is. Okay. No, we wait till the 2.3, the red turns green, and then we can start our descent. Then we are at 2.5 to 3 point, or wait till 3 degrees, and we can start our descent. I'm still on autopilot. There we are, we're in the green. We could start descending, but we're gonna wait till 3. And I'm gonna make sure my pedals are set and get ready on the autopilot button. There you go. Laps full. And go for the 800 feet. With 3.5. Getting our speed down to the green dots. Perfect. We're a bit high. Okay, 4 is a bit high. And I'm not on the center line. $700 it says, so we should give 500. I think that's a land. Trying to keep my descent rate to what the StraytWay suggests, and that should get us right on the what are they called? There we are. There's no reverse thrust on the citation. So it's just braking. I'm not going to use the speed brakes. Perfect. Welcome to Venice Airport using StraytWay. Now I'm gonna taxi using StraytWay. Just first get off. There we are. Gonna get us off the... oh, We have another threshold. Suppose ATC gave us clearance to cross. I don't think we crossed. Got clearance to cross, and we're gonna stop over there, and then we can do the taxi part. Right, get us off the runway. And let's keep our options open. So in StraytWay, get rid of all your waypoints so that we got a clear, then also the route is deleted. There you go, and now we've got a clear where we are here. And let's say we wanna, we get clearance, we can taxi to, yeah, to here. So it means we have to just follow the... Now if this goes to the airport, we have to turn here to the right. And that's also where tomorrow we will, or the next flight we will depart. General aviation stuff. So you can see us move on the taxiway. Taxiways are all named. Okay, I will park ourselves somewhere over here. And then tomorrow, hopefully, we can start from this place. A bit further, and there we are. I'll put a marker there, so next time we'll know where to start in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, do away with all that stuff. Delete, yes, and now put a marker where we are, like so, and it stays there till our next flight. So, that was it for our first leg around the world, hopefully the first of many, and hope you found it helpful and informationful, and you may consider using StraytWay yourself in your plane, or perhaps on a holiday when you're not flying yourself, or even for cycling or hiking or sailing. So hope to see you next time. Bye bye.